Welcome to Assist Amplified, the podcast from the Assist Network, hosted by co-founder Anne Stonehouse and Goodwill Ambassador Sharon Sinclair-Williams. Our mission is to amplify the voices of women across the Tees Valley while educating, inspiring and entertaining you along the way. Each episode brings you real conversations with the incredible people who make up our network. So, let's dive in. Welcome to the Assist Women's Network podcast, Assist Amplified. I'm Sharon Sinclair-Williams, your co-host. I'm the director of the Digital Gene and Love Yourself First EFT. I'm also the Goodwill Ambassador for the network for this year through to International Women's Day 2026.
And I'm co-host Anne Stonehouse, chair and co-founder of Assist Women's Network, and I am an accountant in my day job.
We are thrilled to welcome to the Assist Amplified podcast chair today, Lisa Gosnay, who has a multifaceted career, I've heard, as a co-founder, a coach and advocate for people and organisations with purpose. I hope I've introduced you correctly.
That's
there.
a mouthful, isn't it?
It is.
What a mouthful.
And she's also the lead for our A Seat at the Table project. Lisa.
Yes.
Kindly tell us a little bit about all those different things you do day to day.
So, it is a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But I've got what I call a portfolio career. Spent most of my life as a teacher in education. 20 years I spent in education. Burnt out. So I decided to create my life of dreams. And that's what so from a work point of view, the portfolio career does that. So I basically work when I want, with who I want, on what I want.
Wow, I like that.
So yeah, the co-founder stuff, I'm working on an EdTech project that is supporting teachers to reduce workload. The coaching element gives me what I got from teaching, but without the pressure.
Yeah.
And the advocacy is basically voluntary work for charities and non-profits that I care about, like Assist.
I like the fact there that you said the EdTech work that you're doing is about helping teachers with burnout, similarly, so that you've used your own experience to go on and to develop something.
Yeah, literally, my whole portfolio is based around my lived experience to date and what I've learned from that to try and pass on or pay it forward, if you like, so that people either learn from my experience or don't make the same mistakes I did.
With a nice balance as well.
Total balance. Balance is
you put a lot of effort into how you really balance your
massive
personal life, business life and rest.
Yeah.
Don't you? You've got a big thing about rest.
And isn't that the ideal? Because I totally align with you, how you're saying you work when you want, you work with people who you want to work with. Totally aligned to that. That's the dream. It's
so important. I think, I don't know if you've watched or listened or read to Simon Sinek's talk. It's obviously one of the most watched TED Talks in the world, but I watched that just as I was about to become freelance, and it was game changing for me because my whole existence now is focused on my why.
The
why. And my why is two things. It's to be healthy because I've suffered burnout and serious illness, and to bring light to others. And if any of my decisions in life or work go through that sort of those two filters, and really helps me to make the right choices.
It's fascinating, the journeys we go on, isn't it?
Yeah. She's very impressive woman and an absolute brilliant to work with.
Absolutely. I see that in her all the time, and I haven't known her that long, but I can see that.
So that leads us nicely into you are our Seat at the Table lead. So can you tell us the why we introduced a Seat at the Table to the Assist calendar and the purpose why we do that?
Yeah.
So why?
The why.
Yeah,
well, the why.
Brilliant. Well done, Anne.
Great. So the why. Well, it's your baby. A Seat at the Table's your baby, isn't it?
I wouldn't be able to do it without you.
No, I know you wouldn't. I know. And it would. So when I first volunteered with Assist, Anne said to me, we had a massive long chat. We chatted for about an hour, and I told Anne my story, and she said, I've got this project that I think is perfect for you. It's been on the shelf in my head for years and on the shelf for a while. We just can't get it mobilised. And I was like...
And it's a big, meaty...
It's a big project. So I said, well, I was just about to become freelance. So I was like, right, okay, let's do it. And so we took it off the shelf, and ultimately a seat at the table aims to support more women into leadership across the Tees Valley, because right now, as it stands, the latest data shows we've got a split across both public and private sector where leaders are 60% male and 40% female. Now that's class compared to years ago. We're making massive strides, but a seat at the table's aiming to get that as equal as possible over, the duration. It's a limited project for 18 months, but we're aiming to make some nudges from the women from 40 up to closer.
It's about empowering and inspiring, isn't it? And encouraging, giving confidence, to try and encourage women to take that next step, progression in the career. Go for it.
Will you feel happy then when that data is showing you that it's a 50-50 split?
That's the ideal, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the ideal. I just think what we're trying to do, the data's great, but I think the most important thing is the action and the impact as a result of that action. There's all sorts of data that says globally we're years and years away from true equity. But I just think the 3 pillars of seat at the table is educate, inspire and connect. They're the 3 pillars of the project. So if all our actions feed into those themes, and if we can create even just a small ripple effect in this 18-month project in the Tees Valley, what we're finding through what we're doing is that it's not big, massive action that creates the change. It's lots of little ones. And we're not going to change the world, but we can change, or we can start changing our part of the world.
Corner.
And that's
our
what it's
world.
about.
Yeah, our corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're focused on Tees Valley, aren't we? So as you've sort of mentioned there, a seat at the table, we've got a really clear vision. We talk about in our operational meetings, our debriefs, about measures that we do. And we have got our audience is 3 clear strands. Do you want to tell us about them?
We like 3s, don't we?
We love
3 themes,
everything comes in
3
threes.
audiences.
Yeah.
So from the out, and that's important because when you start a project like this that's time limited but quite intense, you need to have real clarity at the beginning. So we're really clear about the 3 strands of the project, and then we got real clarity on the three targets. So experienced leaders are our first target, and we want experienced leaders in the room, particularly experienced female leaders, that have blazed a trail, that have had successes but also challenges, and are leading the way. They've got their seat at the table and they can share that knowledge and experience with others. So they're our first audience. Our second is aspiring leaders. So women who are further down, I suppose, the career ladder, but have ambition, that want to scale, might have faced barriers, may not, but they want the confidence and the knowledge to support them on that journey. So it's almost a bit of an exchange. The experienced leaders share with the aspiring leaders and almost pull them up. And then the male allies, we know the world has been set up for men more than women, right? Anne and I were having this conversation last week, weren't we? And so the power at the table, in terms of the seats around the table, the decision-making table I'm talking about, and the money, sits with men. The only way we're going to get rapid change or accelerate change is to have them as part of the conversation. So we try really hard, and it's one of our biggest challenges to get men in the room.
Is it
real challenge?
Why do you find that it's such a challenge then? What do you think it is?
I think that because Assist is called Assist Women's Network, that's an immediate barrier for men, because they're like, well, it's just for women. So that's one thing as well. The other thing is that a lot of people we've spoken to, not a lot, a reasonable number of people we've spoken to, don't really know it's a problem.
Don't realise. Just don't realise.
They don't realise. And if it's not, and it's like loads of things, if it's not affecting your day-to-day, it doesn't really concern you, so you don't,
Why would you
almost
consider it?
don't need to take a
You
responsibility.
don't know what
or
you don't know.
have, exactly that.
Because it's not coming up in your world and
If
everything.
it's not
you
part of
just
your
don't
world,
think
it
it's
doesn't
a thing.
matter.
And I also think they don't know the benefits either. The
Yeah.
benefits of having the diversity
Yeah.
beyond gender, just diversity at any board room level.
And we think, don't we, when we're in our own little rabbit holes, our tunnels, we think, oh, everybody's seeing this, everybody knows this. And actually, the opposite is true, isn't it?
No, they don't. And it's the same in everything. The other work I do a lot of work, and I know this isn't about other work, it's about assist, but I do a lot of work around the blood cancer, blood disorder and stem cell transplant space, because that's my lived experience. So that's the other part of my advocacy work. And the lack of awareness there is exactly the same, because unless you're faced with that day to day and it's right up there on your radar, it doesn't matter to you. Not in a I don't care way. It's just not part of your frame of reference.
Yeah.
And that's,
absolutely.
I think, where the Male Allies challenge lies.
Yeah.
And what do you think what success have you had with trying to, work through that challenge?
So we've had some real good outcomes from personal relationships or professional relationships we have already. So the vast majority of men that come into the room are people that or members of the team have had a conversation with and said, and it always, face-to-face is always best, right? So having a conversation, we can put all we want out on social media, but our social media audience isn't men, it's women.
Yeah.
So we ask men for their support, and do you know what? They're willing, aren't they? The vast majority of them we ask are willing. Some are a bit nervous walking into the room because it's a room full of women, but when they leave the room, they leave with totally eye open. Totally eye open.
Well, I've been to an event and afterwards asking, for the feedback. The men were like, didn't know this was an issue, which is what you've said, and they've really enjoyed it, and they really want to go away then and change things, don't they?
Conversation,
yeah.
That's the thing, which is them ripples.
That's what it's all about.
Ripples we were talking about is trying to open that conversation for male allies to think, actually, can I take this back to the workplace?
Yeah.
Can I have another conversation with a potential male ally?
I think what's really interesting, one particular panel member we've had has taken some absolutely amazing action. Actually, there's a couple taken really good action, but just because it's the right thing to do. They weren't trying to, it wasn't an initiative, we need to get more women. It was just, it felt the right thing to do, and they didn't realise it was so significant what they were doing. It was like, well, we're just taking these small actions because we think it'll be better for the business, when in fact sharing what they're doing within their organisations to the audiences at our events is potentially game-changing, because that then starts, the little drop in the ocean starts to ripple out,
It's always better for business, isn't it? And, when CEOs and business leaders are thinking about the bottom line, when performance is shared and exactly what you said there, it's always better for business across so many different levels, isn't it? And you touched on a really good point earlier on about education. You don't know what you don't know.
No.
And at the minute, some of those male allies have learned that stuff and then have taken it away, and just naturally it becomes then part of what you want to do, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that. And I think, we've had about 20 to 30, I think, male allies involved in the project so far. Hopefully we'll have much more before we close. But, the hope is that after every event we contact them again and say, can you come to the next one?
Yeah.
So we just almost build a bit of a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Can you be in the room? And it's worth mentioning that our panels are also our spotlight. So we do different types of event, and our spotlight is the bigger one, isn't it? To get the educate, to get the larger audience. And our panels, 4 panel members, 2 men, 2 women.
Yeah, getting that split right in there.
So visually, that was our aim at the very beginning.
The optics, isn't it?
It is too. So when we do in 18 months' time, when we come to our 18 months milestone, the visuals of all of our panels of that quality 50-50 50-50 split.
And we work really hard in the bigger events as well to get men around the room so they're not all in one table, so there's not a split.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that happens almost under the radar to try and promote that equity, like Anne says, visually as well. So it actually looks, because can you imagine if in our events we had a table just full of men?
One side,
that would be horrific,
I know.
wouldn't it?
One
So,
women over there, men over there.
but
That
it's
just
all
wouldn't
those
work.
like little bits of attention to detail. It's sweating the small stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
That make, I think, the difference. But all day long, male allies is one of our biggest challenges. Getting them in the room.
Today's episode was proudly sponsored by New World Financial Group. They make financial planning simple, supportive and accessible. They are a female-focused service designed to give you clarity and confidence about your financial future. Hopefully, some of those male allies will be listening to this.
Yeah.
Some of those ones we
Thanks,
haven't
Ross.
met yet. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Baby steps. It's all baby steps.
It is, absolutely. So we touched on it earlier, Lisa, about measuring the data from a seat
Yeah.
at the table. And what do you feel that your findings have been generally across the board in Tees Valley about women and leadership, or even across, maybe you know now a little bit more about the wider Northeast, what the landscape's looking like?
So I think I mentioned earlier we're 60-40 nationally, and it's the Northeast is very, very similar at 60-40. There's certain sectors, and we've brought that into a seat at the table, haven't we? So we had one of our panels was focused particularly on sectors in the Tees Valley where women are underrepresented. So, for example, in the Tees Valley, the tech sector's absolutely thriving, but still the representation of women in that sector.
Do you know what that figure is?
I don't know. There's no
Be a good
published
one
data
to
on
learn,
that.
wouldn't it?
But yeah, it's even just when you look,
you just know.
It's very, very obvious.
I can tell when I walk into any event, or
Any
just
tech event.
just
Yeah.
any tech event. I just know.
I'm a founder in the tech sector now, and everything I do is to be fair. Actually, there was a program run by the TVCA that was an incubator program, particularly around tech, and I was on.
Oh,
that
you're
program.
on that, yeah.
I was on
remember
that program,
seeing that.
and I do have data actually, because there was some kind of, I think nationally, and I wouldn't like to be quoted on it, but it was around 20% of those type of programs. It was women, but the figure quoted for ours was 35. So there is, so obviously it's not 50.
Action
So there is
that was
action being
some
taken.
good news, isn't it?
There is
Yeah,
action.
in the tech sector. The other thing is, again, it's related to the tech startup work I'm doing. The female founders. So for every pound of equity funding, female founded businesses get 1 to 2 pence in every pound.
I can relate so much to this,
Right.
Lisa, because I'm a female founder and
Yeah,
I've been in
same.
digital and tech for like 20 years
Same.
nearly.
Tech.
Yeah,
So
seen it all happening.
yeah, and that's not just tech; it's literally across the piece. All all businesses seeking investment, female founded, 1 to 2 pence in every pound. I am involved in, outside of Assist, work that's going on to try and, because that gap's huge.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the point I said earlier. It's the men that have the money.
Yeah.
You know, so
Money and the power.
And the investment companies are aware of that, aren't they? And they are active. Our local investors are.
They are.
They are actively trying to address that.
I don't want to, plug anyone or give any, it would be unfair to say this one's doing great. But there are specific VCs in the Northeast that are doing some really, really great work. There's a lot of activity around sort of the Yorkshire area around female founders and investment. I actually think there's some task force set up at national level, I think. So the powers that be, or the people that can create the change, are very aware of those problems, and there's a lot more activity, which there needs to be, because we've got such a long way to go.
Yeah. And then there's confidence. We've got women, and I just need to add that Lisa's actually an award winner as well.
Oh, are we?
Come on, we've got to get that in.
No.
A tech award winner.
Got to get that in, Lisa. Come on, tell us about that.
So the EdTech startup I work on, we won the Tees Tech Startup of the Year 2025.
Wow.
In June.
How did I miss that?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness, those social media algorithms.
I know. We had to pitch, so I went through an initial round of pitching, which was to be shortlisted. got down to the final 3, and then pitched on the stage to the full
Oh, it's that.
room.
Yeah, I've been to
Yeah.
those events when you have to do
so
that.
we did a pitch and it was a vote. So it wasn't, which is better for. I like it because the people in the room voted
Yes. Yeah.
rather than it being a panel. And we voted. We got the vote.
And has that helped? That sort of visibility, has that helped any?
Certainly on a local level. Obviously, with what we're trying to do, we're launching in the Tees Valley, but we plan to scale nationally fairly quickly and potentially beyond that, in the next couple of years. But for people, for profile building locally, it's great. And also for women in tech as well.
Yeah.
Because I've looked at those awards, and if you look at the winners, particularly in the tech awards in years gone by, it's very, very male heavy. And it was a decent split this year.
Yeah, and again, that's they've took action, haven't they? Should we go back to a seat at the table?
We should. Should
we go back to a seat at the table? So we've talked about, we have the spotlight events, and Lisa, we had so many ideas, didn't we, at the beginning? When we took that off the shelf, there were so many sort of different types of events we wanted to do, workshops and things like that. And we knew, even though we've got a really we've got a lot of volunteers in that team. Haven't we?
Team,
We just knew we couldn't deliver all that we wanted to do, but we do deliver leaders' lunches and dinner debates.
We do.
Which is a lovely, intimate affair. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And we have the experienced leaders in a nice closed.
Yes. Group. So I suppose I probably should have said at the start, our project, the actual activity on our project, it comes in chunks, I suppose, or themes. And the start of that theme of activity is the big panel event. We call them the Spotlight panel event. So that's where Anne talked about the 2 men, 2 women sharing their experience to an audience who are being educated, and they're taking on the knowledge. It's much more knowledge being imparted rather than discussion. There is some discussion, but it's much more
the opportunity to connect in the room as well.
So, but what we felt was, because that was a big event, we've had one of them we had 90 people at, so it was a big event. We thought that having more intimate events where almost as a follow-on, so on the same theme, but that people can sign up to do a leaders' lunch or dinner debate, and those are much smaller events. We limit places to 10 to 12 people. The leaders' lunch takes a private sector / business perspective, and the dinner debate takes a more public sector perspective, policy, that type of thing. And we have an experienced leader, so a private sector experienced leader and a public sector experienced leader, and we have a lunch and a dinner, and those leaders share their experience, warts and all. It's really, really candid, really informal, really lovely vibe in the room. They tell their story, a bit like chatting, like
around
we are
table.
now. Around a table, like having dinner. It's a round table.
Food.
And we have dinner or lunch, and they share their story, and then the other leaders in the room, mostly aspiring leaders, but we have also some experienced leaders that want to learn and develop, just ask questions. And the aim of those events is for the leaders that come in and listen to walk out feeling inspired, and then take action to create change in their own spaces.
So do you feel in that really intimate environment then that people do ask questions that perhaps they wouldn't ask?
Absolutely.
In a larger one, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, at the bigger events, we do have action postcards. Because a seat at the table's all about creating those drops in the ocean of action that ripple out. So we didn't do it at first, did we? But we introduced the action taking, the pledge card.
Oh, yes, I remember seeing those. Yeah.
So people listen to the panel at those events, and then they formally record what their action is. Whereas the leaders' lunches and dinner debates are more interactive, and people ask questions, and that they genuinely do. Like, people are buzzing when they're walking out saying, "Oh, someone said I just didn't feel like I could do this, and now I do."
Something clicks into place for them.
Just because they're hearing, it's almost like shared experience that you don't know until you share it. Or you feel like that you're really successful doing this job,
and that happened to you.
You get imposter syndrome, or you've faced discrimination, or you've whatever it is.
Yes. And family, like women have sort of the additional barriers,
All the life
you know, that. And I think, as Lisa said, what's and all, we always ask our speakers to be open, honest, but relatable. So actually, it is like we see some of our amazing leaders on the front of magazines or a sort of high profile, but actually they are just normal people.
Yeah, they're all approachable.
And we like, through all of Assist panels, to be quite honest, right the way through, it's 16 years, is we've always tried to break that down, because we are all just real people, and that's something that's really taken from them dinner debates and the leaders' lunches, because it's very one-to-one.
Really nice, just nice spaces full of nice people. I've had a couple of contacts that have gone that I've known through work, I've worked with in the past, and I've said, I think this would be really good for you, and they're like, oh, I feel a bit going into a room, you know, and just said it's just so welcoming, such a lovely space, and just really inspiring, really, to hear the stories. Because you know what, we're all mega busy, aren't we? And we don't, unless you go to these events, and we do the panels, and there's loads. We know there's lots of panel events. We know that, but the leaders' lunch and dinner debate specifically, actually having the time and space to have a nice dinner. Who doesn't like a nice dinner or lunch? But then really learn and develop. It's in my opinion, a massive learning and development opportunity for women, just to take a little bit of time out and hear someone else's story that you wouldn't normally have time to hear in an otherwise really busy show.
Sounds like a roaring success. Yeah. So at the minute, how far in are you in on the project? You mentioned that it was for 18 months.
Yeah, we were over halfway.
So how at the moment could what opportunities are available for other organisations, like I'm thinking charities and schools and whatever? How could they all get involved at the minute?
So we've engaged with, well, not so much schools, but unis and stuff like that, to give students, aspiring leaders, exposure to what these environments look like, because I believe education, even at an early stage, I'd have loved to known about this type of stuff when I was in education. But beyond that, on the flip side, we are very, very mindful that there's an awful lot of organisations in the voluntary sector and the public sector, like charities, like schools, that need people around the table.
Yeah.
So we have another arm of our activity that we haven't discussed yet, which is the job opportunities. And a lot of them are volunteering opportunities, but we basically, at our events, we collect in from, like I say, it's predominantly charities and schools, non-profits, opportunities to be on a board of governors or a trustee, anything like that. And they look mint, don't they? They look like they're all really well designed. So we create almost adverts for these organisations, and they're on display at all of our events, so that the leaders at our events can browse them and potentially take up one of those positions. So it's a win-win, really, because leaders are getting aspiring leaders are getting experience, or the opportunity to have leadership experience, and the organisations are getting the exposure to vacancies, which, when it's voluntary, it's really hard to fill. You'll never find, there's always school governor. I used to be a teacher, right? They're always desperate for school governors. Charities are always desperate for trustees. So we feel like we're filling a bit of a gap there, or bridging a bit of a gap, by having the right people in the room that are ready for those type of opportunities. And we've obviously got real good connections with those non-profit organisations that feed in the vacancy. So we're actively looking for it.
It sounds like such valuable work, such a big meaty project, though, that you've got yourself involved in there, Lisa, doesn't it?
Just a bit meaty.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. So we're almost coming to a close now. It's been wonderful to chat to you. Anne and I decided at the end of every podcast interview we were going to ask our guests this question. So are you ready for this?
Fire away.
We often find that women don't like shouting about themselves. They don't actually like to amplify their own voice. So this is the question.
Ready? I'm ready.
Drum roll.
Do you feel comfortable talking about yourself and bragging about your achievements?
So the short answer is yes.
Brilliant.
The long answer is not bragging, though.
Not the right word.
So I share my experience. So I talk a lot about my experience. I've got an Instagram blog which has all my health journey, and I use that to help others. I share my achievements in terms of my recovery on there, not because I'm bragging, but because it'll help other people.
Which I follow you on, by the way, and it's amazing. I love it.
So I do it. I wouldn't use the word bragging, but I massively share what I'm doing now because of where I was, and there's other people that will be where I was, really, really unwell, and look at me now. So that gives others hope.
Yeah.
But
from a business point of view, Lisa, I've just shared your award, and what did you actually do? There was a little bit of a cringe. There was a little bit of a body language cringe.
Yeah, we're talking about those as well. Let's get them into the mix.
So from a business point, so I really struggle. I didn't even used to like posting on LinkedIn. I found a way of doing that now, but I'm a bit anti LinkedIn narrative. So the hustle, I'll go completely against it. So
I totally agree.
So I do a lot of my LinkedIn stuff is a brag, but it's like I do this, but it's balanced.
Yeah.
So I try
and this and that.
Yeah. Because everything's a balance. Everything's a balance.
Very much.
So I am happy doing it, but it does give me the ick a bit as well. But
we're loving these answers. We're loving these answers. We're getting so many different answers, aren't we, when we chat to people?
If it's a proper brag, it gives me the ick. I find that. So I have to find an angle to do it.
A way to gently introduce it.
Yeah, to sort of... It's just that word, isn't it? It's that brag word, isn't it? We
weren't sure whether we would use it, but we thought, yes, we're going to use it because we're going to see how people feel about it.
Project visibility.
I like talking about myself. I'm quite happy talking about myself. It's my favourite subject, but like bragging, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe it's the word. I think it's the word. We are going to keep
using it because it generates a good response. Yeah,
it's a good conversation piece, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. So to finish off, as you know, Assist is a networking organisation at its core. What is your networking top tip?
Don't go in to get business. Don't walk into the room with the aim of getting business. Walk into the room with the aim of finding out about people and their stories.
I love that. We have. It's a recurring theme, isn't it? It's all about the people and the face-to-face and the conversations.
Break it down.
Lisa, we've enjoyed having you in the Assist Amplified podcast chair. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've really enjoyed having a chat with you. So thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you for having
me. Thank you. Today's episode was proudly sponsored by New World Financial Group. They make financial planning simple, supportive and accessible. They are a female-focused service designed to give you clarity and confidence about your financial future. Thank you so much for listening to Assist Amplified, the legacy project of our Goodwill Ambassador, Sharon Sinclair-Williams. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share and join in the discussion, because when we amplify one voice, we amplify them all and change really happens.